You're listening to the LaRocque Life Podcast, where hosts Michael and Laura explore relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations, drawing from their 17 years together with a bit of sarcasm, humor, tears, a few and lots of love. They deep dive into the male and female perspective on relationships and navigate the highs and lows of life together. Sit back, grab your love mug, and let's get into today's conversation.
All right, Laura, episode 38. What are we talking about?
Today we are going to deep dive a little bit and just make it short and sweet, which I know we always say, but that is our goal today.
It's never like that with me.
Short and sweet. We're going to talk about our program that we released last week called Safe and Wild.
Fuck yeah, I know.
It's our first 6-week group program for couples. And we've talked leading up to this, if you've been listening to each episode, and if you haven't, I highly recommend you go back because it's been
it's just progressing.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about what we will definitely be deep diving in the program, like communication and feminine and masculine energy and patterns. But in the previous 3 episodes, we've really dove deep into that and shared personal stories and really made it real, because I think you can read those things on paper and be like, cool.
Oh yeah, everybody does, right? You're always like, oh, I want to communicate, and it's like, okay, here we are, let's communicate. And it's just like, wow, now what?
Yeah, and at the same time too, I think it's almost like, what does that mean? Or like, that's not for me. And so when we share our stories in common and combined with it, I think that it gives you a feel of like, you fuck up along the way.
Yeah, good at that.
But at the same time, just sharing our story just shows that we worked through it too. And so wherever you're at, you can progress, you can grow, you can evolve with your partner if you're both willing to try, right?
That's the biggest thing. And it always boils down to that. And I know I talk a lot about, us being a team and just trying different things in a relationship, and being in your home or being together is your safe place. But you have, I have to be able to do that. I have to be my most vulnerable. I have to be in a position where I can just try shit and just do different things and know that you're there. Mm-hmm. That is, to me, the biggest underlying in my relationship, or our relationship, in my head anyway. That's the story I make up. Is I just know I have you there, because I always try dumb shit. I tried dumb shit right before the show. And Laura's like, "Do you really think we should be trying that?" I'm like, yeah, this is me just trying shit. And that's, I don't know if you've been watching these last few episodes, but there's always shit changing because I'm trying stuff, and it really hasn't been panning out the way I thought it would. But
it's good. You need to try things, right?
Absolutely, right? And then
you have to. Yeah. That's this program, right? We're trying by putting it out there. And I don't say trying, we know it's gold, but that's a step out of our comfort zone, right? So
big time.
Creating the program.
I was thinking about that today, our Vancouver days when we put together that one program, which didn't really see the light of day, but just tried so hard. And I think for myself, I was definitely trying to be something I wasn't maybe at the time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And, it was crazy. I can't even explain it to people, but I put so much pressure on us to move out to Vancouver to keep this big city life going that we established in London, and get to Vancouver. It's like, okay, we're gonna pound out this program, and then we'll be laptop nomads kind of thing, and digital nomads. And like, okay, we got this, and put so much pressure on us. Meanwhile, how far along were you? Pregnant?
I think 4 or 5 months pregnant.
Yeah, so you're in the thick of it, and just throwing all this at you, no income coming in, no nothing, living in fucking Vancouver.
A dream.
Just this is awesome. And it puts so much pressure on this thing, and it actually, there's a lot of gold in that one too. It's a pretty sick program, but we'll have to Frankenstein that one a little bit, put our new touch on it, or put ourselves on it now.
All of the info is just kind of evolved with us, because we're way different people than we were then. And I think a big thing back then was we didn't earn it, right?
No, exactly. I think that's a great way to put it.
And not to say we need to earn being able to put out a program, but we know what we're talking about. We've lived it. We had to live more of it over the last 4 years since then. And so just kind of bringing it back to what you were talking about, just trying new things. We are always stepping out of our comfort zone and creating things. And I think that creating or trying things, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're really excited about this program, because it's new for us. We've never actually coached together. I've been coaching for 3 years.
Yeah, not together
personally
though.
With women.
Yep.
But we have never coached together before. Mm-hmm. So this is something new, and it's a little uncomfortable, but it's also like really exciting.
Oh, big time.
And we have people filling out applications so far, and lots of interest. And it's just like, it's really exciting. I think 4 years ago, we wanted to do it for ourselves, right? Like we wanted that lifestyle. Whereas now it's like, I read people's applications and just the messages that I have in my inbox with people. And you know this because you just have conversations with guys, right? Mm-hmm. Messages, or even guys you work with. And it's just like, there are so many people struggling, settling, and they just like don't know what else to do.
No, and you feel hopeless too.
It breaks my heart because I've been there and I remember like not knowing where to turn. And I talked about this with one of my girls somewhere along the line here these last couple months of, you have good friends and mm-hmm. you have your besties and you have your family, but oftentimes when you're struggling in your relationship, it's kind of hard to turn to them because, for one, like you got to be open and vulnerable with them. But two, like you don't want them to start looking at your partner in a negative way and take sides, because what if you do work it out or like things get really great? It's kind of harder for those people to let go and forget because they love you so much.
Yeah, and
right?
They know all the shit, but they know the shit that they're not invested in it either. Mm-hmm. So they just see all the negative, right? And it really is a tough, you put your friend in a tough spot too, right?
Yeah, because they want to have your back, but then they're like, well, I don't know, what do you want? Whereas I know for myself with women, like I've worked with women who have already been separated and are working on their relationships together. I work with women who aren't really sure if they want to be in their relationship, and we're kind of figuring that out with them. Women who are just unhappy and they want change in their relationship, but their partner is not changing. So we work on shifting them first, which then usually has created this ripple effect. And that's what happened with us, right? And their man starts becoming more interested just because when they change their energy, he's got to match it. He's got to match it or he's got to go. But coming back to what I'm even talking about here is there's just so many people struggling. They don't know who to reach out to. And like, we want to fight for you. We want to fight for what you want. There's a reason you came to us. So if you want to make it work with your partner, we're going to do everything we can to help you discover, where you need to change or how you can communicate better or what you're holding on to that you can let go. But also at the same time, I mean, in that you find your truth and you discover
Massively.
I know with my own clients, it's like, is this relationship still meant to be a thing, right? Is it still meant to be your life? And that's more of a spiritual aspect I would go down when I think about soul partners and soul contracts and stuff like that, right? Because I mean, we're not all meant to be with our partners forever.
Yeah.
I believe we come together with some people for a reason, for a season, right? And when that, that lesson is learned, whether they needed to teach us to stand up for ourselves or I don't know, we grew, right? And that's time to move on. Then as a coach, I just help you uncover that. I don't tell you because it's not up to me. No. It's your life. It's your journey. I'm just there to help ask the right questions and give you the tools and the knowledge and the awareness to really, and confidence. You gain confidence to.
Well, you gain confidence. You just
make change.
To know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And just diving in a little deeper to figure out who that person is. I know for myself anyway, I was like, what am I doing for my life even, right? Like I was very aimless. And then London helped out a lot, and just I learned a lot of tricks out there and like met a lot of cool people and stuff like that. And then just opening my eyes and watching you change, that's what really made me change.
Yeah.
And we say that all the time with the men, right? Like you're not going to drag a guy into this by any means.
No, like, you cannot force your partner to do this program.
No matter what you it's just not going to happen. But
no.
For the men, like, I mean, just to have an open mind and it's not going to shift in a day. You're not going to start fucking being all airy fairy or anything like that right away or ever even.
Yeah, I was like, you don't really ever need to
Fuck
become
you. I'm right there, man.
You're so evolved and enlightened.
Yeah, go for a beer with Buddha here after. And but no, it's not going to change. Well, it'll change who you are, but like you'd still be that manly man. You're going to be even fucking manlier in my opinion, because you're going to reach into that masculinity and you're going to own it and fucking nut up and grab your balls and fucking feel that. And we'll figure out ways. Like generally, I know a lot of guys, especially like my age. Anyway,
You're calling yourself old?
Getting there.
Oh, okay.
Getting there. So I couldn't even remember my joke. That's how bad it's getting.
And this is just a look into our real life where I don't get 3/4 of Mike's jokes.
No, I got like 2 people in my life that get them, and they're like, yes.
They're either like over my head or like
too far. You don't even want it.
I'm just like, yeah. No.
I don't want to lower my IQ to fucking listen to you. But anyway, back to that is like generally we'll work on testosterone stuff. A lot of it's diet. A lot of it is moving your body. And those are just the little things to at least open your mind up into fucking starting to feel the more into the masculine, feeling the shifts, looking into the different patterns in your life. Like if your pattern is to go to work your balls off. I get that. Most men are hard workers. I understand that. But then you come home and you're just lay on the couch or you're very aimless because you fucking blew your wad at work. I get that. Like you were 20 people pulling you in 10 different directions and all these different things, right? You come home and you don't want to have to deal with that. But once we can work on a few things, you get home and you solve a few of those issues at home, or like obviously you got to listen to your lady too. We'll talk a lot about that. We'll really get into that. But you do those little things and then it gets easier. Life gets easier for you. And it sounds very counterintuitive because you're putting in a lot more work, but at the same time, it's good work. It's really fulfilling work, and it gets easier. And then, you get to have a great conversation with your partner at the end of the day when you get everything in order. And once you figure out those roles, right? And
instead of just fighting or arguing.
Yeah. Or just sitting on your phone looking at nothing or looking at all these other people's lives thinking they're so special, but they're not. They're in the same fucking boat you're in. But yeah, just to do that and just chill out and relax and make it your safe space. That's the biggest thing. And obviously if you got little guys or little kids, it just, that even adds to it because it's just, you're fucking got a magnifying glass on you. We know that better than anybody now with a toddler, right? Like they see and do everything you're doing. And, sitting on your phone, just looking down the whole time, which I mean, I'm 100% guilty of by all means. So it's not like I'm holier than all or anything like that. Like fucking, I got to work on that myself. But between that, moving your body, like Lennox is down here, like he follows like workouts. He's just doing different shit, right?
Yeah, we're exercising, right?
And that's just part of their life, right? And that'll be part of their life. You don't have to worry about all their bullshit. And especially with daughters, I talked about the last one, is just like they're going to learn these skills and learn what a real relationship should be. And again, it's not all fucking rainbows and butterflies by any means, but at least they can see how a man is supposed, or a woman, I guess too, like how their partner is supposed to treat them. And they'll know and they'll be strong enough and be self-confident enough that like they're not going to let some fucking loser beat them down or put them down, right? But yeah, just building up the kids. And that's the biggest thing for us is, yeah, we're going to help all these people, but we're thinking about like the back end, like your kids, the grandkids. That's the goal, right?
You're changing literally generational patterns and healing generational trauma by owning, like removing these masks that you're wearing, right? And unpacking the baggage. And when I say those things, I think a lot of men tend to be like, I ain't going there. I ain't doing that. Right?
No, and that's what I'm here for, right? Yeah. I'll be that buffer. I won't let her fuck with you. Don't worry about that. But no, I'll be the one. But it is like I'm a prime example of that. I keep saying that, and I just use me as a fucking example. I've like very low IQ, we'll call it, to be
a little nicer to yourself.
I'm fairly smart, and then like just working hard. I'm a trades guy. Just all these different things, right? You want to talk about anything. You want to talk about fighting. You want to talk about guns. Like you got a fucking sweet gun safe right there, but you can't see. You want to talk about knives. You want to talk about tattoos. Talk about fighting. Talk about anything. It's all things that you can get into after if you want. Like even fighting. The only reason I really got into fighting is because I can't remember how old I was. 19, maybe 20. We went back to Meadow one time and I fucking got in a scuffle at the bar and got beat up. Well, not beat up, just kind of didn't win the fight. And I was like, what the fuck?
Doesn't that mean you got beat up?
Oh, I wasn't really beat up, but it was just like, what happened? Drunk as a skunk. Anyway, no excuses. But then I came back and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even fight? Like, what am I doing? Like, you know, you get in those odd scuffles and you kind of throw punches, but I didn't really have any proper training. And I was a goalie in hockey, so I mean, fuck. But then it came back, you know, get into boxing, got really into boxing, then jujitsu. So just all these different things. There's never too late to re-evolve yourself or reinvent yourself. And I mean, I'm a shining example of like reinventing yourself to try every fucking avenue you can go down, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have to.
Well, I think once it really like opens up a door for you once you're able to even address the fact that there's issues or that you're not happy with everything in your relationship. I'm not saying that your relationship has to be like a complete struggle, but just basically accepting the fact that it could be better. Mm-hmm. And then from there being more open to like, okay, I'll show up with this with my lady, or I'll show up for this program with my man, and I'll just sit here quietly and I'll listen, and I'll incorporate a thing or two, obviously, as it comes to me. But learning about our roles, like how could that falter us, right? Like it will only empower you.
Exactly.
Learning about our relationship patterns and the cycles and the behaviors we, move through. How is that a problem? I mean, it is a problem because once you know, you can't go back, right? But the empowering part of that is then we're going to talk about communication and we're going to go deep into these things. But once you do that and you do what Mike was saying a little while ago about, when you come home from work and you're just exhausted, or you're numbing out on the couch, or you're annoyed by the kids and loud noise and anything. But when you start kind of working on that foundation, it really does shift things at home. And then you're able to have a communication and that conversation with your partner. Mm-hmm. Which then opens up more space and time, and you're more loving and nurturing to each other. And then you're like, hey, I have more time.
Exactly.
Everything too is energy, right? And so as we shift the energy in our home, and if your energy is already good, it can be better. Mm-hmm. If it's in a not good place, it can be way better then, right? Yep. But as you start to shift this energy within yourself, and for some people, that's going to be simply showing up in this program and listening to the calls and reading through the material and practicing the exercises with their partners and for themselves. Other people, it's going to be, a lot deeper than that, and really being involved and really expressing, because that's where they're at in their journey. But coming back to the whole energy thing. So once you start shifting that energy within yourself, it's going to shift with your partner. It's going to shift through your home, and it's going to shift into your life. And Mike's going to be teaching the guys more on their masculine roles, if they are core masculine, and we'll discover that through the coaching process as well. But then you start to look for your passion, right? Or your purpose. I would say more so your purpose.
Yeah.
And you uncover that, and then you find things that fuel that. And for you, that became fighting and guns, and it sounds like you're just a real badass.
So then I found this group of guys. I'm just a motorcycle enthusiast, not a gay.
But it's not like that. Like these are just like hobbies that you have that are empowering for you because they give you purpose, right? Whereas before you lacked purpose and you sat in a pub and drank beers with other dudes, and it's good to be with other dudes. It's really good for men to come together and collaborate and chat, because there's things that you talk about with men that, like, for one, I don't really give a shit to hear about.
No,
but
you wouldn't.
Second of all, like, you would tell things to your guy friends that you wouldn't tell me, right? So it's very healthy for men to get together, for women to get together. And it opens you up, I think, for your relationship. But long story short, just, I think, your motorcycle, if you know our story from the beginning, go back to episode 1, when you got your motorcycle, you stopped drinking as much because you started to find a purpose, right? Like you were excited about that motorbike and you wanted to buy parts for it and work on it.
Any excuse to fucking ride that Harley, I would do it, right? Like,
because it gave you a thrill. Like the masculine is kind of likes death, likes living on the edge, right? And so much of us are of all of us, but I think definitely men who have a mask on, who are supposed to be more core masculine, they are afraid of death, right? And they're trying to avoid every opportunity that's scary, right? And even being vulnerable is scary.
Oh, that's the scariest thing for most people.
Yeah.
Most people can't even fucking public speak.
Yes, exactly.
Like to get on stage, they'd rather fucking
die.
Yeah.
But so when you start, what was I saying? When you start opening up, I lost my train of thought.
Well, that's all right though. But you really do. Like you're talking about my motorbike, right? It did give me a purpose, and it got me out of that. I mean, I was still boozing pretty good, but I didn't want to booze too much where it was like, hey, I don't want to be drunk because I want to go ride my bike.
Yeah, well, you knew that you knew you couldn't even have a drink if you were on your bike in the beginning, right?
Because
you only had your learners, and so you really did cut back.
Yeah, I was riding cowboy too, because for a long time just rolling with my learners. But anyway,
right. It's not really relevant.
Nope.
Mike just wants you to see how badass he is.
Oh yeah, I break the law. Don't worry about it.
But going back to the death, like living on the edge, right? Remember the no fear. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Did I just date myself? But I think most of you would totally know what I'm talking about. And I don't have the t-shirt. I didn't even ever have the t-shirt, but my brothers did. So I'm actually not even that old, but I just remember.
You weren't too poor. You had the no surrender.
But okay. So most men these days are so far from that edge, right? And that thrill, that's what it gives them because they're in such a survival mode, right? We're all in such a survival mode that it's hard to really step into that power. So there's
a lot of things with that. And we don't get the butterflies I talk about all the time anymore. Like you don't get that nervous energy. Now it's like fucking.
No, like there's no thrill of life.
No, now it's just a
like,
ball in your stomach because you're worried about paying bills and whatever else is coming up, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But for men too, like it goes on and on. But that's where because we evolve, we're fucking warriors, right? Like everything is very violence based. Our whole existence, like that's what humans are, right? Mm-hmm. And we're always warriors. Like life expectancy was so low. There's so many things, like especially with like native stuff. Like you wake up, it's like it's a good day to die, and you're a fucking warrior, right? And that's what it was.
Well, I think things got pretty wounded there with the masculine, right? Like men being so hard men that's where we've lost this vulnerability aspect and this feminine aspect that now men are like lost, because I do think we've evolved as humans, obviously, from
just around
back in the day, right? But now it's like this new era of like being that masculine man where you just have purpose and drive and motivation and goals and that thrill and that seek, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is all the characteristics of what you're talking about, but it looks completely different, right?
And a lot of it's integrity.
Open.
Integrity is the big word for me lately anyway. Just you have to have integrity with yourself, obviously with your family and people around you, but definitely yourself. Because like I always self-talk, wake up and you're like, hey, gotta do a workout. And I'm like, well, hit snooze. Or, you're like, even when you are working out, I know a lot of guys can relate to this where it's like, you set out doing a bench press, I'm going to do 10 reps, but you do 8 and then you quit. And you probably could have pushed that extra 1, 2 maybe, but that integrity wasn't there with you.
Yeah.
And it fucking wears on you. It beats you. I beat myself up anyway with it because I was like, fuck, man, what's the point of even working out then if you're not going to do that? And you get discouraged.
Pattern, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that could go on. And I mean, like you said, we can talk about this forever, but that's a great point though. Yeah.
And the reason I think we're probably naturally navigating more to talking about the masculine in this episode that we're going to be sharing on more on the program is because I'm having conversations with women who are like, me and my partner really need to take this, but I'm not like, and I specifically said in the copy, do not force your partner to take this because you're going to waste your money. You're going to waste your time. You're going to waste our time. Like
it'll probably cause even more fights.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this program is not designed for you to like drag your partner kicking and screaming into it. We don't even want that energy in the program. So I'm not going to let anyone in like that. It's okay if the man or the woman feels so uncomfortable, but they're open. Mm-hmm. That's all that matters, is to have an open mind and an open heart. But I'm having conversations with women who are like, I don't think it's going to do it. So I think it's kind of funny that we didn't talk about that. We've just naturally kind of gravitated to you talking about the masculine. And so I think if you're a woman listening to this show, maybe, and your husband's open to listening to the show, this episode, then send it his way, because we do have gosh, okay, so 4 days after you're listening to this, the launch of this episode, January 26th is the last day for our bonus deadline, which you're going to get if you register for the program before January or by January 26th, on January 26th, you're going to get a free one-on-one call with Mike and I. So as a couple with Mike and I, because the group itself is a group, like our Zoom calls are going to be a group Zoom. And so if you book before January 23rd, you reserve your spot before January 26th. Wow, just totally threw a random number out there. You will get that extra bonus call, and that's going to be used at the end, which is amazing because we get to kind of go back over the whole 6 weeks and then just go deeper into it, make it more personalized, more unique. And there might be that space for you to open up a little bit more because there is no one else there.
Nope,
but
exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of just like the biggest thing I'm hearing so far is that women want it, but their men don't. And so, well, not that they don't, but they're just kind of like,
Yeah.
But like, what would you say to a man? I think this is really powerful. What would you say to a man who's kind of like, she wants me to do this. This is not my jam. But you knew that your relationship needed work or could use work or could just be better because it's really about those three things. And I mean, you could go back to us 8 years ago.
It's hard because I know for me, my ego is in the way big time for even you wanting to go to any kind of counseling or therapist or whatever that looked like. I was like, fuck that. Like just flat out, just drew a line in the sand and said no.
So you and I wouldn't have been the couple for this group at that time.
Not at that time.
Like,
no.
A year or two later for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess just speaking from the point of your wife was already doing work, but when you started to officially kind of open up and be more open-minded about what I was learning, what would you tell a man like that's sitting there right now being like, nah, I don't know. Like, what would you tell a man and man to man because of where our relationship is at now?
Yeah. The biggest, again, it goes back to integrity, like integrity with self and the respect you'll have for yourself, but then the respect you'll get from your partner as well. It's just, you'll be able to reclaim that manhood a little bit. Like I said before, like typically like you come home, you're so fucking tired from the day and you just really you're trying to numb out, right? You want to numb out and whatever that looks like, there's so many vices you can jump on, but it doesn't help anything with the relationship. And then even if you are everything, well, not everything, but a lot of things with men, myself anyway, like it goes to sex, right? Like, oh, if I was just getting laid more, if you're acting more like these girls on porn that you're just numbing out with anyway, right? But there's nothing on her side of it, there is nothing that like
zero attraction.
There's zero attraction to that. Like, I don't want to fuck you. I don't want to like.
You're not a man.
You're just not being a man. Like you're not
to
playing
her.
those. Yeah, to her. Like you're not playing those roles, right? Or you're not doing what you should be doing. So I mean, just hoping for a random blowjob is it's not going to happen because like, what would you want to fucking give yourself a blowjob? Like no, like you're just a loser. I want to find that guy that's fucking downstairs working out or like fucking sitting at the cable cleaning his guns or talking about adventures that we're going to go on or talking about what you had planned for the weekend.
Planning adventures,
Like what are we doing this weekend? Like we're doing this, this, and this. You're like, fuck, okay, let's do it, right? Like
I want to
so many things. You got to grab the fucking reins.
I want to reiterate that you're not a loser. I know this is you talking men to men, but I think that there is a lot of men who actually struggle with self-image, right? And they probably need to hear that. But I'm, as a woman, being the nurturing, being like, you're not a loser.
You're the fucking problem. Rubbing his back. But no, and that's the other thing, right? Like guys coming into this thing, I'll help you wherever I can. And like I am a nice guy. Like if we can never hug or whatever we can do, like I'm a hugger. I like hugging and we can talk and we have those open conversations, but I will kick you in the ass too if you need it. Like I've been there and I need those kicks in the ass all the time from you too.
And that's what men need though.
And that's what we had before, right? Like in our hunting parties and just protecting the tribe is like we had that one mentor, everyone had their mentor and that person would tell us if you're fucking around, you like straighten out, man. And then they'd show you the path, right? Or at least lead by example.
Yeah. Well, and men grow through criticism from other men, right? Or mentors.
It has to be a mentor or somebody. You gotta
be clear, not from your wife.
Yeah, definitely not from your wife. And you have to be open to that, taking that criticism. So it has to be someone that you respect.
Yeah. But women grow through praise. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be praised. And so I think even there's your lesson right there. Like that will transform so much for you if you praise her more. And I guess she would need to respect you more, but in order for growth, right? Criticism through your partners or your pals. Is that what we call them? Pals? Do you call them pals?
See you at the beach, buddy. Jesus Christ.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal. Anyway, so that's a lot of it, right? So, I mean, I get fired up when we talk about this stuff, but we'll bang on about it and we'll have a lot more direction with it. But
I just want to say the woman's point of view from what you just said, like when you explained that lifeless dude, because we've been there, right?
And I've been that guy. I know from example.
When I'm sharing my feelings, these are my feelings. Like when we were there, it's like, God, like my thoughts did go to what would life be like with a different partner? What would it be like to have a man who, just was like, hey babe, I cooked dinner tonight, or like, hey babe, we're going to this place, or basically, like you just said, took the lead. Because especially now that we've had Lennox, I make so many decisions through the day, right? And for him and for our health and for our food. And like, I am making so many decisions in a day that I just want you to make some decisions and to take the reins, right? Like be in charge. And so I think that changes a lot of things right there. But also, I mean, there's nothing sexier than someone who's taking care of themselves. And when I say taking care of themselves, I mean their body, their mind, and their soul. Like, it's not just like, oh, you have a sexy body. That's great. Because I mean, there's lots of people who have sexy bodies and I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to say that. They're just not attractive. Like they would open their mouth and you'd be like, all right, gotta go. Like just not even, it's like not intelligent, but just like I crave someone who I can connect with on an emotional level, right?
Right, yeah.
And so the very egotistical, like physical person who thinks that's what women want, it's like, no. I mean, maybe for a week or two, but
it'll get you off that ledge, and it'll make you feel like a woman again, because then you can feel into that. But then after, once you start trying to live life with it, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like kind of thing, right? So it's I see that, but again, that's where the man comes in, and it's all baby steps too, right? Like it doesn't just happen, and you got to find the right people. And even after this program, at least it'll open you up to a lot of things, and then you'll find a men's group or start your own men's group, or get into boxing, or get into jiu-jitsu, or you'll find your tribe anyway,
like
right?
I said, it's just that doorway. Right?
Yeah,
like
exactly. Find your tribe that's not just sitting at the fucking pub, sitting at the bar, just talking about negative shit, because it just negativity breeds negativity, and I could sit there all day and be fucking negative. Like that's easy.
And there's nothing wrong with that if that's the life you want, and there's nothing wrong if you do.
But you can't be sitting at the fucking pub bitching and moaning all the time, and then expect some great life on the back end of that. It doesn't.
That fantasy.
No, it doesn't work, right? It's great to dream about that, but it's never gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm like, okay, well, should we talk about the other side for women? But I'm like, no, I don't think we need to, because I really do feel like this podcast is for men, because women are already on board. Women already want an emotional connection. They want their man to open up to them. And this course isn't just about men. Like, you're not going to come in and we're just going to like get on like all on the men, right? And bug them and be like, you need to talk, you need to share, you need to do this. This is a full on group effort. But I just feel like us women, we don't really need the encouragement, because we want that connection.
You're searching for that already.
They're already like wanting that emotional connection too. So it's like, dudes, get on board, and fucking life can be way better. Way better.
So much easier, right? It really is. Like, again, life's hard, and there's so many outside things that come at you, and I get that, but it'll just be, you have this, like, you'll have that container to be safe in, and you can go fucking smash that job out, or, if shit does happen at work, or your boss is fucking around, or whatever that looks like, you'll be in a lot better place to either not take that shit from him, stand up to them, I say him, the boss is a man. Doesn't have to be.
That is pretty sexist.
Ooh. Anyway, yeah. So sandwich is terrible. Take it back. And you'll be able to stand up for yourself a little more, right? And not to go out swinging or doing whatever right away, but I mean, it just builds you up that much more, and then it makes life so much easier when you do get home. Yeah. When you're a team, and just I keep saying that, but it's true. It's just, and even men, like we want. That's the biggest thing, or most sports people, myself, is like, what do you miss about hockey? I miss the dressing room. I give a fuck about the game. I didn't really like hockey, to be honest. It's just the only way I make the team.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, like I hated fucking being a goalie, but it was, again, the only way I could make the team. So it was like, hey, I'm here. But I love the dressing room, like the fucking banter, making fun of each other, doing whatever, right? That's what I liked. And it was a team. And then that's where now a relationship, you have a team. Obviously, you got to be a bit of a leader in that team, but you're still a team, and you can bounce things off each other. And then when your kid's a part of that team too, right? And you're just,
and I think you both together. Lead, right? Like I can hear some women being like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, no.
But you both lead, but this is learning your roles. Like I would say for us, I lead our health, right? Like I'm like, eat this, take this, right? Like I need you to be healthy. But then there's other areas where you lead, right? And it's not like he's the king of the house, or like, she's the queen who runs the place. Like, you've met those people where you can tell who runs the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is a matter of knowing your roles and owning them and being a team, like you're saying. I think I said that in the copy underneath, like we're kind of just talking about us a little bit, is I just see so many couples. It's an unconscious thing right now, but then you see it when you look back that you're fighting each other. Your ego's in the way. You're fighting your partner. You're fighting yourself, when really, if you just let that ego move to the side, did some work, let some things go, brought some awareness to some areas of yourself, and stepped into, I'm going to say like your truth, but like stepped into that masculine role, stepped into that feminine role, and then learned to embrace each other, then it's like you two against the world, not you two against each other, right? Or you against yourself. I mean, it goes there too. It starts first there, right? You got to open up to yourself, then you got to open up to your partner, and then you're a team that you can take on the world, right? Because it's a hell of a lot better going through the struggles of life when you're not fucking struggling at home as well. But then also, it's way better to enjoy the like joys of life as well when you're both in it, right?
Yeah.
You enjoy, I think everything goes deeper. Like you enjoy the joy on a deeper level than you wouldn't if you weren't as connected, right? Yeah. And then the struggles are a deeper struggle than they have to be if you're more connected.
Right.
And just have that communication, right? And
that nails it. That's exactly it. Just life just gets easier.
Yeah. So we want to wrap this up because we just don't want it to be super long. But let's talk start date. Monday, February 8th is when the program will actually start. Once you fill out the application form on our website, we'll be in contact with you because, again, we want to make sure you're both on board and that what you want out of the program is what the program is. Again, we're not here to waste your time. So if you're looking for something and you say what it is and we'll be like, yeah, that's not it, then we'll be fully honest that no, that's not what we're teaching.
Yep.
But once you fill out the application, we will let you know the dates of the Zoom calls. The bonus deadline, like I said earlier, is January 26th. And that's where you'll get your complimentary call with us, the like personal one-to-one call. But to simplify the course altogether, as we start February 8th, there will be 3 modules, which we're sinking into. The first one's going to be these feminine, masculine energy and the roles that we're talking about and how to embrace those. So once we discover which person in the relationship is which on a core level, because I could be more feminine in our relationship, but acting more masculine, but really my core is feminine and I'm kind of neglecting that. And obviously then I'm not being my true authentic self. So it can go deep.
Right.
It'll only go as deep as our group is ready to go. And I'm going to just say this, that I believe groups are so powerful because you see other people in yourself or you see yourself in other people, right? And you don't even have to say a word sometimes. And someone says something and you're like, I didn't even realize that like that was my thing, or that was coming up for me, or that was an unconscious pattern I had too, right? That wasn't serving me. And so I don't believe either that the people who come together in the group are by accident.
Right. Yeah.
It's all like a divine bringing together, right? And so then second of all, we're going to talk about patterns, and we'll go deeper into helping you understand what patterns are, first of all, but then what yours are, what your partners are. You're never going to tell your partner what their patterns are, but together you'll understand, just disempowering cycles that you guys have, that once you bring awareness to them, you can start shifting them. And then we're going to talk about communication, because God, the messages that I'm getting in my inbox, like, communication is everything, guys.
Yeah.
And girls.
Yeah.
It's everything. You guys are we talked about this on our last podcast, or maybe even the one before. You want the same thing. You're going to the same destination, but you're on completely different highways.
Yeah.
And it's such an simple, it's not easy, but with some awareness and some coaching and some work, you can get back on that same freeway. And like as we said, life is way better.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 modules. So we're going to go through one module 1 week, and every 2 weeks you'll get the second module. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Because then on our second weekend, so the week after February 8th, we're going to start our Zoom calls, and the Zoom calls will be group. So Mike and I will lead them. You guys will come onto the call. And I know some people are scared of that. And so, blank your screen. It can be black. Just sit there and listen. If you want to talk. We don't need to see you, but at the same time, we're going to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone and show up. But we're also going to meet you where you're at. So if you're not ready to turn on your screen, maybe video number 1, you're not ready to turn on your screen, but video 2 or 3, you do. And you pipe up and talk. And so again, this isn't about,
and that's a safe space too, right? And
it doesn't go anywhere.
It's going to be a safe container to have, for sure.
Yeah. And these couples that are coming together. So I know some of us are like, well, I would never say my shit in front of someone else. Well, they're going through it too. That's the reason that they're in the program.
And everybody takes learnings from that, right? Like, I'm in a men's group. And you're
teaching them.
Yeah. I'm in a men's group like that. And it just, you might have something in your mind that you come with, but then even after that call, you're like, holy shit, this person, like, they did some work, and it was like, wow, that really opened it up.
Yeah. And I think too that we get so wrapped up in ourselves and our problems, and we think life is about us, that once we're in a group and we share something and people are like cheering you on, or people are like, oh, thanks for sharing that, man, because you really encouraged me to open up and share, or whatever. But we realize that life isn't so much about us, and people don't actually care about us as much as we think that they're thinking about us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're thinking about themselves. And so I think that's just this like societal thing we've come to these days, where it's like, keep everything private and don't let anyone in, don't let anything out.
Show your highlights.
Yeah, show your highlights on social media. And I think the fact that we do that is because of social media, because we just started to learn like, well, my life isn't as good and exciting as theirs, so I'm not going to share. Or if I do, I'm only going to share the good things, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that person's life is not as great as they're portraying either. And not going to lie, probably the person who's portraying their life as the most perfect is the person who is struggling the most.
Yeah, usually.
Right? So that's just kind of the last little bit on the Zoom calls. Like, we're not going to call you out and be like, hey, Tom, your turn to talk.
You're up. You got 10 minutes. Fill it.
Yeah. Like, there's none of that. It is like at your own pace, at your own comfort zone. And we're just there to hold the space as well as all of the other couples. Like I said, there's no accident. Everyone is brought together for a reason. And it's really cool to see the people already coming together, or see the groups that are already coming together. And so I'm like so excited.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. So
excited. And this is just the beginning. So let's talk about the price really quickly. So we are offering this for $297. 2 people have already said to me, like, what the fuck are you doing? That's worth way more than that.
Yeah.
And I said, I know, but this is about reaching the people who need it. And I think sometimes the people who need it are the people who, they don't find the value, they don't know the value in it yet, right? So they're not going to spend a large sum of money. And so I know where I was at when I first started my journey, and I just want to make this very available because people need it, and we need it right now. Like, this is the time that we need this, right? People are struggling, couples are struggling, and it fucking breaks my heart. It literally makes me want to cry when I get these messages from people, because I know, and you could be listening to this thinking, well, I'm not struggling that bad. So is this course for me? But it is. It's for any level you're on. Like I said, your connection will go deeper. But what really drives me is the people who are feeling so alone and so like feeling like their relationships are done. And especially when they have young children. And I've shared this many times, but I mean, my parents divorced when I was 3, and it was the only thing I wanted my whole life was for my parents to love each other. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not to say and not to guilt people if you've split or you're ready to split. I mean, this is life. Your child will get over it. I'm a prime example.
Yeah.
And you're probably really aware, and you're going to help support them through that.
But then
at the
again,
same
that's
time,
what helps too, right? Because then the dad, like I'm not sitting there calling you a bitch. You're not calling me an asshole all the time, and then you're the one sitting in between that.
Yeah,
or as a kid, you're not the kid taking that.
And that's why I think, if you're finding yourself at the crossroads right now where your relationship could potentially be done, if you do something like this, at least you did what you could do. You opened up those avenues of communication and started looking at your patterns, and you started making shifts in your relationship. If the relationship is over, you'll know. And at the same time, if you're a person who's like, well, no, we know we want to be together, we just want to grow more, we're going to give you that too. It's the information. This is the funny thing too about groups is that we're going to put out the information, and each person's going to, if you were to recap.
Yeah, you'll digest it all differently.
If you were to recap what that session was about, or like that Zoom call was about, each and every one of you would say something different.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool.
Sweet.
But okay, so after this, we're not offering it at $297 again, though. Like with all that being said, I want to help people, but at the same time, there has to be skin in the game. And at the point of the price, it's really easy for someone to just be like, yeah, I'm not making time for that anymore. Or I'm not going to continue on with the work. But when people have paid money for something, they're more likely to do it, which then they're going to get the value of the course out of it. And that's what we want. So, I mean, we're going to hold you to it. So the regular price is going to be for the next round, $555 per couple, which is still uber cheap. But so if you're looking for the lower price point, this is the time, $297. And I did some calculations and it's like just over $3.50. I think it was like $3.54 per person per day for this 6 weeks. So I was like, oh, that's like a Starbucks coffee. And no, not even. I think Starbucks is way more than that.
Like
I don't get Starbucks coffee.
Whatever they call them. Yeah.
Venti? I don't know. We're not Starbucks people, but even a freaking mocha at like McDonald's, the large is like $4.50 or something.
And then it takes 5 hours for them to fucking make it.
It's like so, high class for McDonald's. Can you please go park around the side? And you're like, fuck, I just wanted this fast.
Yeah.
Anyways, total side note. So if this is speaking to you in any way, don't let the money stand in the way. I mean, it's cheaper than a Tim Hortons coffee.
There you go.
Black coffee these days. Small Tim Hortons coffee. And it's just invaluable. We would never be able to put a value number on it because it could change. Likely will change the whole trajectory of your life.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
cool.
Well, that's that. Go to Laura LaRocque. That's my website. Don't go to that one. Go to LaRocqueLife.com. We'll insert the website in the notes here, but LaRocqueLife.com, safe and wild. And I did just really quickly want to say why it's called Safe and Wild, because I think for some people, they're like, what the fuck does that even mean? But it's basically everything we just talked about today. When you feel safe in your relationship to express and feel emotions and desires and wants, it opens up a whole new container for a relationship to be wild, which is that playfulness and that adventure and that freedom and that passion and that pleasure.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the stuff you talked about where it's like, and the saying is, I'll keep you safe, you keep me wild, or you keep me safe, I'll keep you wild. And I look at that as like, if I feel safe to express myself to you, I can be playful and radiant. And that's what you are attracted to in me, right?
Massively, yeah.
And it goes both ways, right? Like there's obviously things that you feel safe in me that then you keep me wild. And so it goes both ways, but that's basically the premise of it is I keep you safe, you keep me wild.
Love it. I love it. I know. I remember when you were talking about the name, it was like, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, there's a quote, and as soon as I see it, I was like, this is it. People want to feel safe in their relationship because women want to feel safe and men want that freedom. And so
exactly.
They have to go together.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we leave it at that.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, that was great. And like Laura said, definitely hit up LaRocqueLife.com. It's up at the top banner, Safe and Wild. You can check out the past podcasts, all kinds of crazy stuff on there. But feel free to send us messages, DM. You can contact us right off the website. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that if you miss the January 26th deadline when you're listening to this, you can still sign up. You just missed the bonus call, but you can still sign up. I mean, essentially you could sign up till the night before.
Yeah, be part of the group.
As long as we have space for you, right? Because we're going to keep it a small, intimate group, but as long as we have the space, you're in. So just reach out and find out.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
We're excited to see those of you who are ready to journey into it. We're excited to see you on the inside. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I mean, it's going to be a shitty blast.
Anyway, on that note.
No, I need to say, okay, that I did not picture that.
I was picturing a horse trailer with a bull in it.
I know, it's like, I'm picturing a toddler with a shitty, like, explosive diarrhea or something now. I mean, that could sum it up. Mike,
get your point, okay.
Shut up.
Okay.
This is the feminine and the masculine at play, where women keep talking, just and man's like,
hole,
stop. It's going to be a blast, but I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. Like, going down this path brings up some shit, but I promise you it's still good. So that's where the shitty blast comes from.
Yeah, we'll be there to wipe your back up, so it's fine. Well, like I say, on that note, I love you.
I love you too.
I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with our shit. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at LaRocque Life Podcast and online at LaRocqueLife.com. Ladies, find Laura on social media at Laura LaRocque and online at LauraLaRocque.com. Have a request for a show topic? We love that. Send us an email at michael@LaRocqueLife.com or DM at LaRocque Life Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.